Hello, hello. Happy Wednesday. It is March 10th. I am Wendy, and this is Holistic and Well, Lunch and Learn. And today we are chatting about why can't I sleep? That is something that is just a ongoing, prevailing problem, especially in our culture. That seems to constantly be an issue that people are struggling with. And I don't think a lot of people realize the long-term effects that it can have on you mentally and physically when you struggle with sleep disturbances. So let's get busy. One of the very first things that I work with my clients on when we begin to meet is if they are struggling with sleep. That is one of the first things we get stabilized, is that sleep and getting that good rest. Because some of the things that happen because of reduced sleep is, they get the foggy brain, where like you're struggling to remember stuff, like completing sentences is hard, remembering short-term stuff. Foggy brain is super common, and a lot of people will just say, I don't have focus, I can't remember things, that kind of stuff. So foggy brain, forgetfulness, huge mood swings, irritable for no reason, a lot more clumsy. And that's just because the body has not been able to restore itself, and so not having that coordination, being more clumsy. A weakened immune system. I think that was probably one of the first things that really cued me in when I was really struggling with insomnia on an ongoing basis, is that I was really noticing immune system issues and like skin rashes and not feeling well overall. And that's because my immune system was struggling to be 100%. Weight gain. When you don't get the right amount of sleep, baby, let me tell you, you start to put them pounds on. And as you get older, that really contributes to age-related memory loss. And a lot of people that, good morning, a lot of older people, especially as you get over 50, which I'm now in that category, midlife, is you struggle with, your melatonin decreasing and those sleep disturbances being more and more common. So let's talk a little bit about statistics, because I think it's important to understand the depth and the breadth of the problem that we have. Is that it's about 30% of adults report short-term insomnia, and about 10% report chronic. And chronic is, of course, long-term, over a long period of time, and what that can look like. 50 to 70 million U.S. adults have some kind of a sleep disorder. That's a lot of people struggling with sleep. And we wonder why everybody's mad all the time. Well, because you get pissed off, you can't sleep. A lot of folks report, about 50% of people report snoring as one of the issues that they can't sleep. And this is coming from, these statistics are coming from sleepassociation.org, which of course they're getting their stats from like the CDC, NCBI, and I don't know what this other one is, AASMENET, I don't know. But they're all valid places to get information. Oh, that's the American Sleep Association. Let's see, more stats. Almost 40% of folks report falling asleep during the day at least once the preceding month. And drowsy driving is responsible for about 1,500 fatalities a year. And 40,000 non-fatality. Folks that fall asleep at the wheel because they're tired. I chose this topic right now because next week on the 14th, the National Sleep Awareness Campaign for that week kicks off. So I thought I'd get a head start and let's talk about sleep. I think it is so important. This is one of the things I'm super passionate about, is sleep. Probably because I've experienced it on a personal level when I was at the peak of not being healthy. And I really had to like work my way backwards. And I just don't think people understand how sleep impacts, or lack of sleep impacts them. So one of the major game players in sleep is understanding the circadian rhythm. And that's our internal biological clock. You know, some people, not everybody has the same biological clock, by the way, which poses the issue is that when you live in a society that has this standard, or this box of this 9 to 5 work schedule, this 8 to 5 work schedule, there are lots of people that have struggled for a long time because they're not a morning person. And that is very real. A lot of stigma attached to people that struggle with getting up in the morning, being lazy, not wanting to be productive, not wanting to work, which is so untrue. It's just that it's a tough thing to do when that internal clock is not doing biologically and physiologically what it needs to do to get you up at a time to conform to those cultural norms. So that internal clock, and research has shown that women tend to be the morning birds. They have a little bit longer circadian rhythm. 24 hours is just a rough number. That is not accurate. And that men who tend to be a little bit more on the night owlish, and these are just from statistics, this does not mean for everybody, but they tend to have a shorter circadian rhythm. So that is very important, is that circadian rhythm really dictates our ability to have this very regular sleep schedule and get that productive, restorative sleep. And then, of course, what also contributes to the circadian rhythm is the weather and the seasons, because when you've got shorter days, less sunlight, and I believe daylight savings time is this weekend, so we lose an hour, which sucks. Sidebar there. But when you're in the winter months and you have less daylight, because daylight is what triggers our circadian rhythm to activate, that's very much how like seasonal depression and the desire to sleep more. Just talked with a client yesterday who's really struggling with sleep disturbances and wants to sleep all day and then be up all night. And so we're really working on getting that reversed for her. You know, when the summer months come and the sun is up until, you know, doesn't really set until 8:30, 9 o'clock, think about it. We want to be out. We want to be up. We want to be active. We want to be in the world. We want to be doing things. But in the winter months, when the sun is down by 5:30, we're ready to be in the house, buttoned up, in jammies. And then, of course, being in the midst of a pandemic doesn't help, where lounge clothes are encouraged. And COVID weight has happened. We're kind of like bears. We want to hibernate. I know I do. You know, by the time I'm finished with my last appointment and it's dark outside, man, I'm ready to get them jammies on, and I'm ready to be buttoned in and be done for the night and chill out. Whereas in the summer, I want to be out in the world. I want to be moving. It's nothing for me to walk blue at 9 o'clock at night when the sun is just going down, and I just prefer those summer months. So that's a huge part of it, that circadian rhythm and seasons, and, you know, light activating our inner clock. You know, let's talk about the brain, chemicals and hormones. That is another reason why we might struggle with sleep. Again, as we get older, the melatonin, which is that hormone that encourages and activates sleep at night, decreases as we get older. I'm not a big fan of like people before the age of 50 taking melatonin. If that's something that I have a client that is on, we have a discussion around the melatonin and see if we can get them weaned off of it, because the reality is if you're taking melatonin, then your body's like, oh, I don't need to make that. Especially if you're younger and your body is generating that naturally. And of course, there are blood tests that you can have done to see if, you know, your body is creating the right amount of melatonin for you to go to sleep. I've done those tests before. I did like a saliva test where all of my hormones were tested, like the cortisol and melatonin, and it was interesting to see how that dipped and spiked. And that's how I was diagnosed with adrenal fatigue, is from that saliva test. It was very very informational. But again, you don't know those things until you begin to explore and research and seek out support as to why that's happening. So, you know, when we go to sleep, the process is that we get into that good REM sleep, and the delta wave sleep. And that's where our brain is able to shuffle through the events of the day, the memories of the day, and figure out, okay, I need to keep this, and this I don't need. And that's when our systems and our body are able to kind of reboot and rejuvenate and do what they do to keep our bodies in this very homeostatic place of being able to manage itself and be autonomous without the help of any outside forces. That's the theory. But when you don't get that really good sleep, your body's not able to do that. And your brain is not able to sift through those memories. And that's why you have like all this extra clutter. Think about your phone. I always use a cell phone as a great example, because I think people can relate to that. Is when we have too many pictures, too many videos, too much app, and we are taking all of the memory on our phone, what happens? You know, the way that the phone operates slows down drastically. And we'll get usually a message that pop up and say, hey, you need to get the clutter off your phone. You need to clean up your phone. And so we go through and do that, and our phone begins to work more expeditiously. So it's very similar to the human brain, is that when we don't get the sleep that we need, which is restorative and allows us to sort through all of the memories of the day, the events of the day, which is similar to like the pictures and the videos on our phone, it clogs up all of our available memory, and that's when it slows us down and brain fog happens, and we are struggling with being able to think clearly. And so then that leads, of course, to those mood swings and the irritability. So that's a very real thing, is, you know, we have to clear up and clean up the clutter in our brain, and that only happens through really good sleep. You know, so what happens, the toll that is taken upon us when we don't get that rest? But let me back up first. Reasons why we might not be getting that rest. Anxiety. And I think over the last year, 2020, which the irony of 2020, which is supposed to be, you know, clear vision. Mother Nature's such a clown. That anxiety can really impact your ability to get that restorative sleep. And again, I really consider a big part of the client base I work with is people that are struggling with anxiety. But I think that most of us, and I think I had some statistics in an earlier podcast, is that anxiety is a huge piece of the puzzle as to why people struggle with good sleep. So of course, then shit rolls downhill. So then we got depression, trauma. If you are struggling with trauma, you have flashbacks, nightmares. That is going to greatly impede your ability to rest and get that good sleep. So mental health is very, very much attached to rest. And again, these were not connections and things that I really made until after I began my therapy practice, and I began to work on me. And it was probably in my mid-40s. It's probably been about 7 years ago, 6-7 years ago. I think I was around 45, that I really began a wellness journey and began to connect the dots and understand and do the research and take the classes and learn the information and begin to apply some things. Is you know, it's not something to play around with. It really isn't. You know, so physical health. What are some of the reasons physically that maybe we're not sleeping? Being overweight is a huge one. Being overweight is a huge one because being overweight impacts all of our systems. But what happens is when you are overweight is that your throat passageway closes up because of excessive weight, and that's where the snoring can happen, and sleep apnea and narcolepsy, and all of that is contributed to or attributed to if you are overweight. And the charts are archaic, and they're based on white males and what their weight is. So that's not going to be applicable to everybody, but it's important to look into and take into consideration, like, what is my weight status? That hormonal imbalance I spoke of, and especially if you are like in the midst of menopause, that is a huge one. And the hormonal balance that happens with the estrogen and the progesterone and the hot flashes, and I mean, that's real. I went through early menopause about 41, and it was tough. The struggle was real, where you wake up and you are literally drenched in sweat. First of all, it feels disgusting at 2 o'clock in the morning, where you have to get up and change your sheets, and and all my ladies out there that are experiencing that, you know what, my heart is with you. Been there, done that. Early menopause was a blessing and a curse, but it's done now, and I don't have to worry about going through that anymore. But hormonal imbalance, and that can also be the melatonin piece that I was speaking of. Hey, good morning. So whether it's you're going through menopause or melatonin imbalance or whatever it might be, hormones are a big factor, and that's something that you can talk to your provider about getting some testing done, either blood work, that saliva test, where you can get the results of find out, like, is my thyroid working correctly. All of those hormones are very interconnected to sleep and rest. Let me tell you, if you're living a very sedentary lifestyle, which our culture supports that, and especially with COVID and being at home and, working from home, and then, we get up and leave our desk in our bedroom or our study or our home office or whatever, and then we go sit on the couch and we're watching TV. Like, our movement has drastically reduced since the pandemic has set in. And so it's super important to get some walking in, to get some movement in. And hey, it's a struggle. I get it. It's a struggle for me, and I have to be very, very cognizant and mindful to get that movement in, because otherwise you don't release the dopamine and all the good things that happen when you get movement in, that contribute to serotonin production, which contributes to getting that rest. So, sedentary lifestyle. Hey, if you're eating processed foods, you really need to do some research and Google, like, the dyes and how that impacts hormones, which then of course impacts sleep. The whole processed foods is just like this whole snowball effect, and it might not be the dye itself, but what the dye does to your body and how that impacts your ability to sleep. Very, very real. Graveyard shift. I think this is a horrible thing that was invented in our culture, is the graveyard shift, because it totally puts your circadian rhythm into chaos. You have this backward schedule. Remember, if light is activating your waking up, even though we can do room darkening stuff and that kind of thing, your body knows it's supposed to be awake during the day, and the struggle is real without usually some kind of a chemical assistance to help you sleep. Now, I know people that have done the graveyard shift for decades, and they're accustomed to it on some level, but what kind of havoc has it played in their overall wellness? A lot. I promise you, a lot. Hey, another issue is your partner. Does your partner snore? Does your partner hog the covers? Does your partner thrash around in their sleep? Do they talk in their sleep? Are they up and down going to the bathroom? That's a big impact. when I was younger, and I'm dating myself, although I give my age, I don't care. And I would watch shows like I Love Lucy, and you would have Lucy and Desi sleeping in separate beds. That's because they knew that your partner being in your bed can be very, very impacting on rest, even like separate bedrooms back in the day. So is your partner contributing to your insomnia? That's a great reflection. And that might have to be a conversation. Restless leg syndrome, which is a very real thing, where your leg is muscle spasms. Sometimes I've seen legs actually shake. That can be something that can attribute to insomnia, because think about it. Am I going to be able to go to sleep with my leg if I got those kind of muscle aches? I know if I've got shoulder stuff happening and my shoulders are hurting and muscle spasms, it's really hard to be able to feel, for your body to feel relaxed, to be able to go into that state of sleep. Vitamin deficiencies. A lot of research around vitamin deficiencies. Magnesium is one. That's a huge one, because it's a natural muscle relaxer. So if you are not getting enough magnesium, either in your diet or in a supplement, you really should think about that. And another great way to take in magnesium is through Epsom salt. Do a foot soak before you go to bed. Do a hot Epsom salt bath before you go to bed, and you're going to take in that magnesium. But vitamin deficiencies are definitely attributed to insomnia. Too much caffeine. Let me tell you something. Caffeine has its place, and it does its thing, but you have to be so mindful about how much you're taking in and what time of the day. Now, there's always anomalies. My mom is an avid coffee drinker, and she used to drink a pot of coffee up until she would go to bed, and never had a sleep disturbance from the amount of caffeine she took in. I think she was from another planet, honestly. But if you're taking in too much caffeine, that can really hinder your ability, because think about it, caffeine is a stimulant. And if you're drinking way past 3 o'clock, I even tell people like noon. One of the things I work on with my clients immediately is sleep. And if they're reporting to me that they are drinking 2, 3, 4 cups of coffee throughout the day, or they're drinking like the energy drinks that have a gazillion milligrams of caffeine, or they're taking like the 5-hour power shots, which are not too bad for you, but they still have a significant amount of caffeine. I think the extra strength has like over 200 milligrams of caffeine. That's a lot. Oh, thank you. I actually do a replay on my website as well as YouTube. And I'm super passionate about sleep, but thank you. I appreciate that. So caffeine is a big one. So, if you love the ritual of drinking coffee, cut it with decaf. Do half and half, or just do the decaf after 12. Definitely nothing later than 3 p.m. because your natural release of melatonin. Now remember, it's going to be directly correlated to light. So if our melatonin begins to release at 6, 7 o'clock, because there's no more, the sun has gone down, we're releasing melatonin, but we drank an energy drink or a double espresso shot at 3 o'clock, that's just conflicting. Like your body's like, okay, what do I do? Do I rest or am I awake? Do I rest or am I awake? So just being really conscious of how much caffeine you're taking in is super important. Again, if you like the ritual of it, look for a decaf, look for an herbal tea. Because if you just like drinking the hot beverage, drink a hot herbal tea like lavender or chamomile or bergamot or something like that. There's a ton of them out there that you can have on hand that are caffeine free, that will give you that same ritual of drinking the hot beverage that is going to be more beneficial for you. Prescription medications. I don't know what those are off the top of my head, but I know that there are some that do interfere with sleep. And it kind of sucks because you're taking them obviously for a reason, but if the side effects is that it interrupts sleep, I have to ask how good is that for you? But again, our medical system is, what we do is we prescribe medications. I'm going to leave that there and I'm going to move on. I could write a dissertation about what I believe about that. But if you are having underlying cardiac issues that maybe you haven't had diagnosed yet, that can definitely contribute to insomnia, as well as breathing issues and lung issues. So if you're having insomnia and you can't pinpoint why, please, please, please go and get some blood work done. Go and talk with a provider, and do not accept a prescription for Ambien and go home. Get to the bottom of it. You can actually order your own blood work. There's lots of online, but the one I've used and had great success with is mymedlab.com. And you can either use your insurance or you can do self-pay. And you get a copy of the results, and they will basically highlight or kind of like check off if you need to follow up with your provider about your results. And the thing about blood work is that there's usually a range. So like when I had my blood work done, gosh, and I probably need to have it done again, and it's been like maybe 5 years ago. My vitamin D, the range was 30, whatever the measuring unit was, I don't remember, 30 to like 100. So of course 30 is that low end, and my vitamin D was registering at 31. So it registered as in the normal range, but obviously my vitamin D was low. So I began to immediately address that. So if you have blood work done either through your doctor, your provider, or you order your own blood work, make sure you get a copy so you can like physically on your own look at what your results are, and not just be told by a provider that everything looks good. Because even though it might look good in the ranges, you still might have some work to do on getting some things better, improved in those ranges. All right. So the ongoing risks of sleep disturbance. And this is not like every now and then I can't sleep. This is like if you struggle weeks and months at a time with getting good restorative sleep. Which I think, as I look back over the course of my life, you know, I had a relationship in my 20s that was toxic. And I did not get good rest as I was working through that relationship. That was a 5-year relationship, and I would say for the bulk of that 5 years, I did not get good sleep. I had a relationship in my 30s, and of course, part of my healing is realizing this and seeing these patterns. So I had a relationship in my 30s that was toxic, and I struggled with getting consistent good sleep. It wasn't bad as in my 20s. And then once I came out of that relationship and I went into my 40s, I hit menopause, and I was processing and I was healing. And that's also when I went and got my master's. And so I was a student. I was unemployed for a while. I was going through menopause, and I was processing and healing. So sleep has not been my friend for a couple of decades. And that sucks, because now I have the chronic health issues that show that. So high blood pressure, that's first and foremost. That's one of the biggies, is that, and that's directly linked to, you know, the cardiac issues. When you begin to have high blood pressure, so that means like ongoing headaches. That means like heart palpitations. That means being winded, out of breath. A lot of symptoms go in with that high blood pressure piece. And of course, it's linked to diet, it's linked to genetics, linked to anxiety, ongoing mental health issues, linked to sedentary lifestyle. See how all these things are interconnected? It's very much the spider web effect. But if you don't have issues and then you're not getting good sleep, I promise you, you're going to develop chronic health issues. It might not happen immediately. It took 2 decades for my body to say, okay, I'm about sick of you, Wendy, and this is what's going to be happening. So high blood pressure. And I did have high blood pressure for a while. It wasn't high to the point where I needed medication, but it was right at that threshold of the doctor saying, hey, you need to get it together or you're going to start having issues. So high blood pressure, diabetes. Again, I was at a place of where I was at that threshold of type 2. And that's where it's also called insulin resistant. And that's where, because your blood sugar has been so erratic that your pancreas has had to pump out insulin, and that your pancreas is like, I'm sick and tired of you. And so your pancreas is not so good at pumping out the insulin anymore. And if you don't modify your diet to where you're not eating those things that spike your blood sugar, and so then your pancreas just says, okay, I'm done. And that's where that type 2 diabetes comes in, that insulin resistant. And so I was at that threshold. My fasting blood sugar was, I think, 101. And that's right at that place of like, okay, we're concerned now about type 2 diabetes. And so I had to get it together. And I did that through, I did like a keto style eating. I hate to say the word diet, but an eating style for probably about 4 to 6 months, and lost 40 pounds. I learned how to intermittent fast. I have learned how to change my style of eating. You know what? My name is Wendy, and I am a sugar addict. Sugar is more addictive than cocaine. Your brain lights up when it has sugar. Lots and lots of research around that. So if you're somebody that's a sugar head like I am, then you might want to look at that, because diabetes is definitely one of the side effects, one of the impacts of continued sleep disturbance. Alzheimer's. And that's that as you get older, and if you are not taking care of yourself, your brain automatically deteriorates and is degenerative. And that's something also genetically that is possible. And I know that that's something that has been in my family. I've had a couple of family members that have been diagnosed with dementia and later passed away. So Alzheimer's is very real. Stroke, heart attack, cardiac issues, and obesity. If you're not able to get your sleep in where your body is able to manage your immune system and manage your glucose sugar levels, it's just naturally what happens. It's this domino effect of not moving, not eating well, gaining weight, and here we are, bing bang boom, now I can't sleep. And it just really is like squirting gasoline on this little tiny raging fire, and it goes whoosh. So we've heard the statistics, we've heard maybe why we can't sleep, we've heard the impacts of not sleeping. Now let's talk about what can we do about that. First and foremost is to educate yourself. Lots and lots of resources out there about sleep. I think I've done 3 or 4 videos. Actually, I think I have a sleep series, a 4-part series on my YouTube channel that you can check out. And hopefully I'll remember to put that link up when I post this to YouTube as a replay. But lots and lots of information about sleep out there. You just got to find it. One of the first things that I talk about with clients is putting a sleep schedule into place. Now, I don't come in and say, okay, you have to go to bed at this time, you have to go to bed and wake up at this time. I am not the expert on this person's life. I defer to them to know what their schedule is and their circadian rhythm and what their life is and their lifestyle. So it is about being realistic. You know, if you have an 8 to 5 job, the realistic piece of life is that to get 8 hours of sleep, and you take into account I have to get up and get ready and maybe commute, maybe not now, but you still need some kind of like morning routine, is that you probably need to get in bed no later than 10 or 11. It's just the math of it. But that can be hard if somebody if they consider themselves a night owl. And I ask questions to determine, is it that you're truly a night owl and you're honoring your circadian rhythm, or have you developed lifestyle habits that have created that? Like laying in bed and being on your phone until 1 o'clock in the morning. And hey, I am a lover of TikTok. That is my place where I laugh. And I learn a lot on TikTok, but I also know that that's not good for me to lay in bed and scroll through and look at TikTok before I try to go to sleep. It just doesn't work out. So put that sleep schedule in place. Lots of research around bipolar being connected to erratic sleep scheduling. One of the best things you can do for if you're diagnosed bipolar, diagnosed with mood disorders, or you just know that you're moody, is to create a regular sleep schedule. And you don't have to be psychotic about it. You don't have to say, okay, if I'm not in bed by 10 o'clock, it's going to be problems. But say, my goal is to be in bed and asleep by 10:30. So what does that mean I have to do? And I know I have to get up at 6 o'clock. Or worked with a client yesterday where they said, you know what? I really don't get tired until about midnight. And I really don't have to be up until about 10. So, okay, let's work with that schedule. So let's work with you being in bed and being asleep by 12, 1 at the latest. And that let's set an alarm to ensure that you get up and that you're moving around so you can get your body back in that schedule and honor that circadian rhythm, but also be healthy and be mindful of that rhythm and that rest. So important. Regular sleep schedule. And there's sleep journals. For a while, I wore a Fitbit to monitor my sleep, and that Fitbit caused me so much freaking anxiety because the first thing I did, I woke up, is I got on my phone and let me see what my sleep looked like. And every time you like breathe or fart or roll over, that's considered a sleep disturbance. So if I'm looking at this report and it says you had 47 sleep disturbances, in my mind, I said, okay, I didn't sleep good. Now, that's probably not the best way to look at it, but that's the way I processed it. And so I think for a while, the Fitbit actually sabotaged me. But I know that there's lots of people that love to have some kind of a sleep device that can track. You know, Apple's got one, Samsung has got one. You can buy separate ones that will hear your breathing rhythm. Lots of them out there. Try it. It might work for you. It just didn't work for me. But if that's what you need to do to be able to begin to monitor your sleep, absolutely. So that regular sleep schedule is important. You got to give yourself an electronics curfew. And I know social media does not encourage that. And if you haven't watched the special on Netflix about social media and the addiction to it, go check it out. It's very real. But put yourself on an electronic curfew. That means you put your phone down, you put your tablet down, and if you're a reader, you can't read on your tablet because you're keeping your mind engaged electrically with the tablet and the phone. You got to turn them off. When I was very, very first in my private practice and I was doing community-based services, I would put a do not disturb on my phone at 10 o'clock, and that would keep all the notifications from beeping, buzzing, dinging, flashing, whatever, and I would put it on the charger and I would put it face down. And I still do that. When I know that it's time for me to be done at night, the do not disturb is still on there at 10 o'clock at night. I turn my phone upside down and I'm done. Now I have a circle of people that do not disturb doesn't impact, like, you know, my kids and my circle of girlfriends and the family. But I know if they're reaching me after 10 o'clock, it's probably important. Otherwise, I don't need to hear all them buzzes and dings and all that stuff, because all that does is going to be like, I got to check my phone. My email, I gotta check my email. And no, I don't. I don't need to check my email at 10 o'clock at night. I need to be chilling out, being mindful, and getting ready to get my rest in. So, electronics curfew. And I think that's one of the hardest things for people to put in place, is to put your phone down, because, again, our culture really supports this addiction to what's going on social media and comparing and contrasting and likes and how many, you know, what kind of traffic am I getting? You know what? In the grand scheme of things, that crap ain't even important. Hello, hello. Hey. How you doing, Star? All right. So, more sleep etiquette. Breathing. So important. And again, I think this is probably something that I reiterate constantly in so many videos is breathing. You do it, nobody knows you're doing it, it's free, you can do it anywhere. And lots of science behind when you begin to deep breathe in, that your heart rate begins to mimic your breathing. So it's an automatic anxiety reducer. You can activate that parasympathetic system, and that's the vagus nerve. Again, I've got a video out there about that, tons of information about it. Breathing. So if you're in bed, and even if you're just still watching TV, which as long as it's 6 feet away, you can still watch TV. But if you're in bed and you're watching TV, do that super deep breathing, expand your abdomen, and let's activate that vagus nerve, and let's get that parasympathetic system working, and let's get that heart rate down, and let's begin to prime our system for sleep. Mindfulness practice, super important. Again, sleep etiquette is one of the very first things I tackle with clients. So mindfulness can be a lot of things, and not just at night, but throughout the day. You can do mindful cooking. You can do mindful exercising. You can do mindful showering. A lot of stuff you can be mindful about. And all that means is that I come out of my head, I'm not on autopilot, and I'm really focused on what I'm doing, the activity I'm doing. So if I'm cooking, then I'm really like paying attention to the butter as it melts, and I'm inhaling and I'm smelling it. And as I'm cutting up vegetables, I'm looking at the size of them and like the aroma. And so mindfulness is throughout the day, every day. But at night, if you're going to practice mindfulness, that can be yoga, that can be stretching, that can be that hot bath I talked about with the Epsom salt, because you can practice the mindfulness in the tub as well. Mindfulness practice. And again, I've got that 4-part series on YouTube, and I've got a 2-part series on mindfulness practice. If you're just starting out, or some advanced mindfulness techniques, one of the best things you could ever learn about is mindfulness. Visualization. Visualization and meditation kind of can go together. Lots of stuff on YouTube. I prefer guided meditation when I do meditation like that, because otherwise I practice mindfulness in everyday activities. But if you do meditation, I prefer guided meditation, but lots and lots of stuff on YouTube. And you just really have to find someone that you like their voice, you like the way that the flow of the meditation, the music that they have, the length of it. There's lots of apps, and I think I did a video on apps for meditation, or I think mental health apps, my favorite apps and websites. So that's out there as well. So that's the gist of sleep etiquette. There's a lot more that goes into it, like the room temperature, the darkness of it. Additional tips. You know, I have pets and I love my fur babies, but they don't always belong in your bed. Sometimes you need to kick, especially cats. Cats are rude. Cats are arrogant. Cats do not care. They will come and sit on your face in the middle of the night. They will come because the world is theirs, you know. So if you have fur babies that are interrupting your sleep, you might want to consider kicking them out of bed, kicking them out of your bedroom. Minimal napping. You know, I enjoy naps, but I also know if I take a beefy nap in the middle of the day, that when it comes time for me to like shut it all down and go to sleep, it might be a little bit later. But power naps, like I will do like a 10-minute power nap, where more than napping, I kind of get in that in-between state, and that's where I'm practicing my mindfulness, my meditation, is that I will just focus on breathing. I'll do that 10-minute power nap. And it really does make an impact on like the rest of the day and how I feel. So, but minimize your napping. Don't take those huge naps, because they will impact how you're able to go to sleep later. Now, of course, there might be times, you know, girlfriends and I would go out, of course, pre-COVID, and we knew we were going to be out late. Then absolutely take a good beefy nap in the middle of the day, because you know you're going to be up late and you're getting off your sleep schedule, and you're going to need that extra rest. Let's see, massage. Massage can be a great intervention. I do miss my massage therapist. We were together 6 years. I miss him so much. I wish I could have like put him in my pocket and brought him with me and like expanded him and massaged me. It's so selfish, but I miss my massage therapist. And massage is not fully open in California, so, and I haven't really found one that I like, and it's a lot more expensive, so I don't know what that's going to look like. But massage is a great one. Acupuncture is a great one. Acupuncture can really help, like with energy work. If you're someone that believes in energy, it can move that stagnant energy and get some positive energy flowing. And that is also about EFT, which is emotion freedom technique. That's called tapping, and you utilize that to move that stagnant energy and get positive energy going. Brad Yates is the one that I like on YouTube. He's been doing it YouTube videos for about 10 years. And I like his voice, I like his style, but there are lots of folks out there that tap. And there's science behind it. EFT, Emotion Freedom Technique. Google it. There's herbal protocols. I'm not going to share any on here because that's like a liability issue. But if that's something you want more information about, I would be more than happy to share that with you on a one-on-one basis so that you get a complete picture, and I just don't say this particular herbal and you're like, okay, well, Wendy said this will work, and I go out and get it, because there's some herbals that interact with prescription medications, and there is a science behind it, and you have to be knowledgeable about the herbals that you are taking. One of the best things you can do is that sleep diary mood tracker. We think we're going to remember last week or the week before or the past month, but we don't. Get some, there's all kinds of them on your electronically. There's apps. I think I highlighted a couple on my digital resources video. Check that out. But there's paper if you're old school and you like pen and paper. Go get a cute journal, bullet journaling, you can do that. Just find a way to track and like give it a numeric value so that it becomes not scientific, but like it has a quantitative impact. So, you know, on the scale of 0 to 10, with 0 being poor sleep and 10 being the best sleep, what is my sleep quality on a nightly basis? And let me journal that, let me track that. And if, you know, I have a lot of 10s, then, you know, if that's my great sleep quality, then okay, tonight was just a rough night, but overall I have pretty good sleep. But if I have on the 0 where it's poor sleep quality, then you probably need to seek out some resources or some support so that you can get that back on track and, you know, get your quality of life back for sure. I've got on my website, wendyhawkins.net, I have the 7 days to better sleep informational handout that talks about day by day what you can do that incorporates a lot of what I've talked about today. So if that's something you think might be helpful for you or might be helpful for someone you love, go on my website. I think it's under the client resources and then freebies tab. And I think you just need to input your email address and you can download that free. Again, I'm super passionate about sleep. If you have questions, please leave a message for me, either you know, in the YouTube comments. If you're on my website, send me an email at info@wendyhawkins.net, and I'll be happy to answer questions and provide resources. And, you know, if you want to do a quick 30-minute consultation, that's complimentary, and we can talk about, you know, what you want to try to achieve and what's happening and what's going on in your world so that I can try to support you to get back to that really that high quality of life. It's not going to be perfect by any stretch, but the goal is to get it the best it can be. So, thanks for watching. Thanks for tuning in. This was the down and dirty about why can't I sleep. Very, very real. It's a real problem. Do not ignore your body. Be proactive and take care of it. So, take care, and until next week, you be holistic and well. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Take care. Bye-bye.